Today I am reading from the book titled 13 Seats: The Women Who Dared to Testify. The book is an anthology, a collection of stories written by 12 women and compiled by Jackie Nugent. This is part 2 of a 3-part series where I read a portion of Chapter 6, Cry of My Heart. In 2007, I attended several special church services. And each time I went, without trying and without being able to control or stop myself, I would stand during the time of praise and worship, and tears would flow uncontrollably from my eyes. In addition, I would feel a powerful heat all over my entire body. I had no idea what was going on. I knew that the sensation was something supernatural. I knew that it had something to do with God. It happened to me time and time again, each time I went to a service. During these special services, there would be an open invitation to publicly ask God for forgiveness and to invite Him into your heart. Each time these invitations were made, my heart would ache because truly I wanted to say yes. In my mind, I knew that yes was the right response. In my heart, I knew that yes was the right response. And Lord knows my body needed to say yes to this call. But every single time I wanted to take a step forward, every time I wanted and tried to draw nearer to God, something would hold me back. I remembered thinking that it was as though I had cement blocks as shoes. And though my physical being, my mind, my heart, I was ready to take a step forward, there was something holding me back. I later discovered that it was due to the sin in my life and due to my unrepentant heart that the forces of darkness that were assigned to me were granted the authority to prevent me from moving in any direction. As I wept uncontrollably these tears of grief, something began to shift. There was a transition afoot in my life. I had no idea what to expect, but I knew that a change was coming. One Saturday, on a warm and sunny day, my husband went to play golf with his friends. My sister took my 3-year-old out, and I found myself home alone. Anyone would have seen this as a perfect opportunity for some me time or some time to go and hang out with a friend or two. I would have loved to hang out with a friend. However, for me, that wasn't an option because through my wedding planning process, I became a form of bridezilla and managed to scare off most of my friends. The 2 bridesmaids that were still in my life after my wedding, somehow through whatever actions or mishaps, I managed to be estranged from them within 2 years of being married, meaning that I was left with no friends. I didn't realize it then, but God used the silence of having no close friends in my life. He used the silence to remove all obstacles that were impeding me from hearing Him, so that I would be able to hear his voice, and I would be able to see him as a comforter and as a friend. Everyone's journey in life is unique. I'm just sharing with you what my path was. That day I remembered, I started to survey my home. I was looking around, looking for something to do. To the best of my knowledge, everything was in order. I mean, I had no one to tend to, I had no meals to prep. I really, it seemed, had nothing to do. And so I began to reflect on my life. And I remembered thinking, wow, I've come a long way. Things on the surface are pretty good. I've got a nice home, an awesome husband, a beautiful daughter, pretty neat job. I get to experience amazing things, but I feel as though something is missing. I remembered feeling as though there was a void in me, a great gap in my soul, a space that needed something that it didn't have. I started to realize that I needed something that I had never tasted and never seen before. I didn't know what this thing was exactly, but I knew that it was something that I didn't have, and it was something that I longed for. That day, I went into my daughter's bedroom and I knelt at her bedside and I prayed this simple prayer. Dear Jesus, if you are out there and if you really care, release me from the shackles of this world. I want to know you more. If you hear me, please send me a sign. End of prayer. Within 10 minutes of saying that prayer, I heard a knock on the door, and it was a witness of Jehovah. I immediately knew in my heart that I was not going to become a Jehovah's Witness, but I also knew that this was the sign that I had asked for in prayer according to Psalm chapter 51, verses 12 to 17. Now I'm going to take a pause here to read that scripture from the Tree of Life version of the Bible. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me from your presence. Take not your Ruach Kadosh from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and sustain me with a willing spirit. Then will I teach transgressors of your ways, and sinners will return to you. Deliver me from the blood guilt, O God, God of my salvation. Then my tongue will sing for joy of your righteousness, O Lord. Open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. For you would not delight in sacrifice, or I would give it, nor be pleased by burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart you will not despise. Thank you for listening to part 2 of a 3-part series. Tomorrow we will continue with part 3 of Cry of My Heart, chapter 6 of the book titled 13 Seats, The Women Who Dared to Testify, compiled by Jackie Nugent.